A very good ne- a very good noon to all the viewers. Prachi this side from Sagar Group of Institutions presenting you Placement Trends 2020, where we are discussing about hiring trends and placement patterns for the getting back to new normal. So today, allow me to introduce a guest of honor today, Mr. Vinay Srivastav, who's project head at Infosys. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Prachi.
Entire my team will be joining this session, including Sharad Ikansh and our respected HOD sir from Computer Science branch, Ujjwal Nigam. So we all welcomes you, sir, at this particular point of time where you have to spare some time for us. Thank you so much, sir.
Sure, it's my pleasure. Thank you.
And as you all know, this pandemic is going on, and still Infosys is driving and accelerating the force throughout this particular quarter. And sir, we are very much towards the discussion from the student point of view. Like, a lot many roles are specifying in this particular pandemic. Learnings are facilitated online mode, and your journey towards a project engineer, towards a power programmer. I think a lot many efforts has been involved in it. So can you please
Mhm.
go ahead and tell something about the project assassinations and this particular roles and profiles? Please go ahead, sir.
Sure. So, Prachi, as we all know that this pandemic was something which has a very catastrophic effect. People are sick, people are dying. However, I would say that this has triggered a new set of innovation. And you rightly told, the companies who are in the technology, who are nurturing new technologies and all, they are really doing well in this era. Infosys, as you know, you have seen the results and all. We have performed better than what we used to do normally. And with this era, I would say that the focus is more on how you can leverage the technology to drive innovation. I think that is where this whole world is going. And two and three, I would say three areas where we are investing, and most of the organizations are also focusing on. The one is basically whole the cloud computing. The innovation which is being offered by the cloud technologies, that is amazing. Be it AWS, Google, or Microsoft Azure. So a lot of adoption happening from cost optimization and bringing innovation. So that is the one area. Second, I would say that the automation has taken a new height. Earlier it was the automation was very, very passive automation. Maybe a work which can be done manually. What you do, you create some kind of bots, and through that you do automation. But now it is taking a completely new dimension. Bringing the whole artificial intelligence and machine learning. I think that is the area where a lot of innovation happening, and bringing the whole AI ML into the automation. That is the next wave of the optimization which organization is looking. And the third, which
Right.
I would add, is the whole IoT space. That is the another area where is lot of again quite a lot of innovations are happening. And initially it was considered as a technology for the manufacturing, but we are seeing that it has been adopted by most of the organizations. So from answering to your question, uh, this pandemic has forced us to look a new way of driving innovation, and there's a much more exciting world is coming. I mean, the time much more exciting time is coming, and we need a lot of people. A lot of people with the skills in the cloud, in the automation, in IoT, in artificial intelligence and all. So quite a lot of new opportunities and new jobs are going to come.
That's a great news for our young technocrats. Like, previously they were actually working for a particular two or three profiles. Now it's good that, pandemic has taught them to learn new technologies. And of course, for this, they can pursue n number of learnings, which is available on the online platforms. You won't believe that, they are preparing for machine learning also, they for AI also. And they are using different coding platforms to learn all these technologies. Uh,
Mhm.
could you please drive some more specifications as we talk about, the consultant profiles? Because every time we heard about the managerial roles or, executive roles or the system engineers, but everyone wants to become a, consultant for a particular role. So
Mhm.
anything which a fresher student can drive themselves towards this particular segment.
See, consultant normally in Infosys also, or in most of the organizations, when we look at the consultant, and I'm not going with the designation, I'm going
Yeah.
with the role a consultant does.
Roles.
You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
exactly. Now, the consultant primarily, it requires a different set of mindset, and I will not say that which mindset is good, which mindset is not good. There, if you look at that, there are three, four tracks. Normally, one track goes where we talk about the architecture track, where you understand the technology in depth. You can do wonders in that technology, but you don't know much about the business. You don't care much about the business. You basically understand the technology and you implement the solution. The consultant track is basically where you need to have a good understanding of the business as well, because as a consultant you will be interacting with the customers, you will be interacting with your client, and you need to and you should be able to address their business problem with the technology solutions. So if anybody want to pursue their career as a consultant, they should invest time understanding what are the business challenges. A manufacturing client will have a different kind of business challenges, right? A retail client have a different kind of business challenges. If I can give you example, a retail client want to have more and more customer coming to their retail stores, right? Now, how they do that thing? There are technology solutions which are available using IoT and all those things. So, what is the important for a consultant role is to understand the business problem, understand the business, and then using the technology solutions, you address that. You may not be great in writing codes or building a framework or creating a kind of complex architecture, but you should know that what are the technology solution available and how you can orchestrate those solutions to create a business solution. So that I would say is the key requirement for a consultant.
All right. All right. So, what is happening? Like, we always welcome all the expertise things to our students and facilitate them in such a manner that, we do not want to follow the orthodoxity which is going in the market. We always, at Systech, we present the innovations and, all the lab practices are very mandatory for them. Allow me
Mhm.
to introduce Ujjwal Nigam sir, who is responsible to make these technocrats, updated with each and every technology. A year back, when we were, when Infosys were associated with us, and you were also telling us about the, changing technologies and scenario, all those skills that have been inculcated, and apparently we have. This is our third year when we are introducing placements in the, functionality of machine learning and AI. So the maker of those particular things, Ujjwal Nigam sir, do you have something like to upgrade all these things in a better manner so we can portfolio this to Vinay sir?
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. And good afternoon,
Good
sir.
afternoon.
And it was a very rich interaction with you earlier also, and it helped us a lot in inculcating those new
Mhm.
initiatives into our system. Although we are working on machine learning front and IoT front already since last 2 years, 2 3 years, and as ma'am suggested that we already provided placements to the students also in these profiles. But my question to you is that what as a manager, as a recruiter, what you are actually expecting from a fresher on these profiles of machine learning and IoT?
See, normally I don't, and to be honest, that the fresher recruitment is something which is done in a different level. In Infosys or in most of the organizations, they have a separate stream. But here is what I look at, right? Be it a fresher or be it is, a person with maybe 2 3 years of experience. So one thing is that the technology will keep changing, right? It is cloud today, tomorrow it is IoT, maybe blockchain. Now I'm hearing a new language, Go, which is coming, which might replace Java completely, kind of a thing. So quite a lot of things are coming in the market. The ability to learn fast, and second is the attitude. That is the two things which I would say is the one of the key thing for be successful in your career. I have seen few folks who have joined. They are in fact freshers, and few laterals also. They have a very kind of a very myopic view that, okay, I am only a Java developer. You give me a Java work, I will do that. I am only I can write Python program, and I can create some AI model, but I don't know anything beyond that. Now that is something which creates a problem for us, right? The way the technology is changing, we need to repurpose people. The team needs to learn new thing continuously and perform. So the attitude to learn continuously, that is one of the key ingredients which we see when we hire anyone, right? And there are different ways to measure that, and we have whether it's the interview or whether it is the written test and all those things. We try to understand that how a person is willing willing to learn more. Those days are gone. That you basically mainframe, and you start mainframe, you retire with mainframe, right? Those days are gone. The technology which we were using, around 6 years back, 8 years back, nobody knew about cloud. Now cloud has become so pervasive that if I talk to any client, everybody talks about cloud only, and I don't know what will happen after 5 years, right? Cloud will be there, cloud will not be there. So that's why it is important that, and my suggestions to everybody who is looking for a bright career in these kind of a technology focused company, that you should have a attitude to learn and continuous learning. It is not that you got a job and now you just relax, because that will not take you for very long. Even if you go to, maybe you talk to Infosys, Microsoft, Accenture, any company, if you take, you have to have that habit to learn continuously and expand your skills. That's what I would say. The ability to perform your job using existing technologies. Second is the attitude. These are the two things I would say is must for you to excel in your career.
Right. And as you talked about the domain,
Sir, in the present scenario, we can see that IT companies are establishing like more product-based opportunities in the market. So could you please throw a light about that? And when we talk about cloud, many of the individuals are having a doubt that what exactly cloud is all about, and is there a data security or data breach in the process? So could you please tell us something about that?
Okay, I was not able to hear your question properly, but let me summarize. So, what your first question was, your on the data security on cloud, right? That is what your one
Yeah.
question was there. And what was the second question?
And second was like today in the present scenario, we can see that IT companies are focusing more on product based. So could you please
Right.
tell us something
You are
about
absolutely
that?
right. So, see, both questions are very much linked. What we have realized, and we means the IT companies, that customers are not having patience to develop something for themselves, right? They don't want engaging any IT company for developing a product for them over next 6 months or 9 months or 1 year, right? The things are moving very very fast. They want a ready-made solution. They want a solution which is available, which they can contextualize, little bit customize, and they can use. And they also don't want to do this whole the investment, right? I remember, 10 years, 15 years back, we used to get a requirement from a customer that you need to develop a solution for us. We used to do the requirement analysis, then we used to go to the low level design, high level design, then a typical waterfall way of releasing the product capabilities and the solution capabilities and all. by the time we used to deliver, the requirement would have been changed, right? So that is the problem, and the kind of investment customer need to do, they need to pay a huge amount of money, right? They need to pay for all the resources who are working. Some are on site, some are offshore, and all those things. So what customer has realized that this is not a working model, right? I mean, they need a product which can perform a certain piece of work which is relevant to their industry. They should be able to do a little bit customization, but it should be start. I mean, they should start leveraging the product or the solution maybe a week or two time. And second, very important thing has come, the whole as a service model, right? Nowadays, if you buy a product, it is as a service model. You want to use, you pay, you use for 1 month, 2 months, 1 year. If you don't want to use, you can simply exit. So that has given a kind of a flexibility to the customers, and that is where most of the IT companies are trying to get into a product. But it is not that simple, because it requires a change in the DNA level, I would say, right? A product company, the way they think, a services company, that the way they think is completely different. But most of the services companies are now launching more and more products, and the reason behind that is to give that flexibility to the customers. Now, second question, that I think now, as per my interaction with most of the CTOs and CIOs and all, I don't think now people are worried about security on cloud. The multi-cloud has become a new normal. The question of whether I should adopt the cloud is not there. Whether I should adopt Amazon because Lambda is better serverless solution, or I should go with Azure Functions, that is the question which customers are asking. Whether I go with Aurora database, or I go with Azure, or I go with Google Anthos. So the question is more that on the cloud, which where the innovations are happening, which is the better product, right? So the question is more on that. I am at least last 2 years I have not seen that there's a lot of concern around security. Yes, there are some compliance issue comes where the data cannot move to the cloud because of some regulatory and compliance requirement, and for that the private cloud is still going to continue for some more time. I would say that the growth is happening in the private cloud as well, and that's why I told the future is a multi-cloud. You have a private cloud, you have a public cloud, and now you might hear this new terminology called edge cloud, right? Because the business is happening at the edge, right? And if you put all your application servers at the core, you will get into a latency issues. So a new concept is coming, which is called a edge cloud, where the whole compute, decision making, everything is happening on the cloud. And with the advancement of microservices, Kubernetes, and all those things, it is very, very easy to move a workload from your data center to the public cloud to the edge. So that is where I would say that the cloud is reality, and even I'm talking to banks and a lot of regulated industries. The security on the cloud, that is not a concern.
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
also having a
Sir,
question.
nowadays I can see that Infosys started working on IoT. So could you please tell us something about that, and how can it be helpful for the undergraduate students that we are having in the organization?
See, it is not Infosys only. IoT is a key focus area in all the business, I would say, right? So all the companies, there's a lot of products coming and all, but creating a Raspberry board and connecting few sensors, and taking some actions and all, that's not IoT, right? I mean, the IoT goes much beyond that, those small projects which we do, right? The IoT is basically, the challenge of the IoT is basically the mass, right? The way right now you are managing hundreds, thousand, 10,000 servers. In the IoT world, it will be in millions, right? You're talking about millions. How do you manage those million devices? how you collect the data from those million devices, how you run your analytics on that, right? Because all these devices are going to send you huge amount of data, right? Now, this huge amount of data, how you're going to process, if you send and the big problem is that the data is generated at the edge. The data is generated where you don't have data centers. It may be a windmill which is in the middle of the ocean, or it may be a small remote factory, right? So where you don't have any kind of a connectivity. So those kind of the situation, right, where you are implementing the IoT solution, how you are going to implement that, how you are going to take the decisions, right? Because it is generating the data. That data need to be processed, and you need to take a decision. Another complexity comes that if IoT device, they work with the physical world, right? In a bank, if a server goes down, what will happen maximum? A business loss will happen, right? The client may lose some $1 million and all those things. That's okay. But in the IoT world, if something fails, people will lose life, right? So those kind of situations are there. So how you take it, and the decision making becomes very, very important, right? You have a fraction of second where you need to take a decision. So that's why when you look at the IoT, look at the use case of the IoT and how you are going to address that. And that's what, when you create any kind of a product or a project or a solution, look at that what kind of different protocols which these IoT devices are using. Unfortunately, there's no I mean, there are standardization, but still there's a long way to go. There are different protocols. IPv6 is there. There are a few other protocols are there. So there are multiple protocols are there. So how you can manage the devices which are talking through different protocols, how you collect the data, how you do the data synthesis, how you do the decision making and all. So those are the things which needs to be understood when you work on the IoT. Uh, for a amateur, it is good. You can connect. You can buy a Raspberry board for maybe 200 rupees, 500 rupees. I don't know. You can buy from Amazon. Connect few things here. It is a good. It is a good starting point. But if you want to look at your career in the IoT world, that is where you need to understand what are the business problems and how you're going to fix them. And that is where more and more innovations are going, where your AI ML is coming, your containers are coming. Everything is basically now we have something called observability platform, right? We are moving from monitoring to the observability. So those are the things which we need to focus on. So that is what I would say, that in the IoT, those are the areas where if you want to pursue your career, look at the broader aspect of IoT.
Okay. I'm also
Okay.
having a question. I mean,
That's a beautiful insight we got. Yeah, sure. Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
please go ahead.
So, yeah, our viewers are asking about the Go languages which you spoke about. So, I mean, is it going to replace Java, and whether Infosys has adopted it or not, and which are other
So
companies
again,
which are using this? Yeah,
okay. So
I'm
again,
having
I will
three
not take
questions.
Infosys. Okay. I will not go to
Okay.
Infosys as such, because I'm going to talk about the trend, right? So Go is a
Okay.
promising language, right? And another trend which is going very, very prominent in the IT industry, or the clients, right? The new term has come called FOSS. I don't know whether you heard about that. FOSS is a free and open source. You know, most of the companies now want to go for open source solution. Be it they are moving to Postgres, they are moving to the open source, like ELK stack, Grafana, Kibana, you name it, right? Beat software and all those things. So more and more companies are now they want to get into a open source world, and there are two reasons, right? Because the innovation is very fast paced, because it is a community, right? Everybody is contributing. So there's a lot of innovations happening, and you can leverage those innovations, and you can build your business solution. So in that way, Java is a very mature language, and it has done wonders. I would say that it is not that in next 2 to 3 years it will replace by Go or any other language. I would say it will continue because a lot of business solutions are already running on that. It is not so easy to change from Java to Go. Still there's a lot of development is being done in Java, but it will be a language which will create its own space, and it is very difficult to predict the future at this point of time. It Both the language will coexist. Go is been adapted a lot. It's much more simpler and easy to code. Um, so we don't know. For example, I can say that when the AI ML came, the R was the platform. Everybody was doing development in R. Now everybody is moving from R to Python. There are so many libraries are there, and in fact we have moved some of our platform which were on R. We have moved to Python. So that's what I would say. But I'm not making a statement that Java will go away. Java will continue, and there is a career in Java as well.
All right. Thanks a lot, sir, for such an insights. Now I will putting some more statements towards this technical session and request Ujjwal sir to please conclude the session.
Before concluding, I am having a couple of more questions for sir. Sir,
Sure.
out of all the cloud platforms, cloud providers that are available in market, what you would suggest to students to begin with? Which cloud provider they should start with?
See, that is a very interesting question, I would say, right? I mean, these cloud providers, all these cloud providers, if I talk about the three big one, right? I'm not talking about Alibaba because that is more in China. They are adopting big time. But still, if I talk about AWS, Azure, and Google, now I would answer in a different way, right? In the enterprise world, right? The typical enterprise, Fortune 100, 500, 1,000, 2,000 companies who are already consuming Microsoft product, they have a relationship with Microsoft. And the products and solutions which are offered by Microsoft, those are more inclined toward the large enterprises, right? So if I go to an enterprise who has invested big time on Microsoft technologies, their natural inclination will be towards the Microsoft, because yes, they understand the enterprise world. So from that perspective, Microsoft Azure is doing great, like your Teams, Office 365, and the other solutions which they offer. It is more enterprise centric. If I look at from the startup, right, where you want to do a lot of what we call it is a Horizon 1, Horizon 2, Horizon 3 companies. Horizon 1 is that who are not started their digital transformation journey. They are still using the legacy platform solutions and all those things. Horizon 2 is basically they just started, like they are started using microservices, Kubernetes, and all those things. But still, there is a mix of mix of legacy and the new. And the Horizon 3 is all new startup and all those things. They work only on the cloud. So if I look at the Horizon 3, where the companies are young companies and all, where they want to do a lot of innovation, research, and all, they don't worry much about the security, compliance, and all those things. So in those cases, Google has got a very exciting offering, but it is not that great for the enterprise. That's why you have seen the adoption of GCP in the enterprise space is not that high. The AWS is, I would say, is somewhere in between. It gives both the things. It has got the good corporate or the enterprise offering, as well as for the Horizon 3 companies. And what good thing is with Amazon that it has wide spectrum of offerings compared to others. So it is a mature cloud, a wide spectrum of offering, and enterprises are what we are seeing. They are adopting AWS as well. That is also started. So that I would say, if you want to start, take any cloud. I would not say that okay, Google is the cloud you should go, or Amazon this thing. Start any cloud. They use the same principles. Once you understand the principles, technologies, and all, learning from one cloud to another cloud is not a big issue. Focus more on the cloud native solutions which they are offering. That is what that is where the differentiation lies. Otherwise, there are solutions are available which can commoditize the cloud as AI, as well. Now the way we are looking at that you don't worry which cloud you are, right? We will orchestrate your workload. We will identify based on requirement which is the right cloud, and we will place your workload. So we are kind of creating a solution which is a cloud agnostic, and that is where what is happening in most of the services or a product company. Now they are creating solutions where they are they are commoditizing the cloud itself. So you don't worry about, you don't care whether it is Amazon, Azure, and all. I will give you a single pane of glass, and wherever you want to deploy based on the cost and performance and all, I will deploy it. So that is where the the focus is, I would say.
Right.
That's very good insight,
Beautifully.
sir. Yeah. And one last question, sir, from my side.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
You talked about the domain understanding about consultants. You mentioned earlier in your talk today. My question is, how much domain understanding is helpful for freshers in getting their first job?
Yeah, that is what I was saying, that the consultant role, if you look at the consultant is somebody who is solving a problem, and most of the time it is a business problem. Normally a consultant role is not is not given to a fresher. While there are some companies might do that, but they might label it as a consultant, but the work which they do is primarily the coding, right? If you come from the software engineering background. But if you are coming from a different background, right? Suppose you are from a mechanical background, or you are from a civil background, right? In that case, you bring that domain knowledge, right? What is the what mechanical problem you can solve with the help of software engineering solutions? How can you, now we are talking about this whole factory 4.0, where we are creating a digital factory. So you guys might have heard about something called digital twin, right? The digital twin is that you have an engine running at shop floor, and you create an exact replica of that, and then you fix the problem at the replica, at the twin, and you fix the problem in the twin, it will fix the problem in the real engine. Now, as a software engineer, I don't know how to solve, or what will be the solution to fix this engine, right? That particular knowledge will come from the mechanical engineers. They can say that, okay, if this engine is having this kind of problem, if RPM, there's an issue with the RPM, I'm not from that domain, but if there's any issue with the engine, they will be able to tell that, okay, you have to control the throttle, or some valve and all those things. That software engineer will not know, a guy. But once he understands that what is the solution, that person can codify the solution. Okay, the software engineer can write a code and immediately fix it, but finding the solution, that comes from the domain. So that is why if you are from a mechanical background or some other background, that domain knowledge brings, help us a lot. And that is why when we recruit people with a non-IT background, we expect them to bring that kind of a intelligence, where we can say that, okay, look, if customer A, if you have this problem, I know the solution. Now I will codify this solution for him, and I will automate it.
Thank you, sir.
That's
So
an
one last thing
excellent review you
I
have
would like to
provided.
add. One last thing
Yeah,
I
please.
would like to add. Please, also focus on the new career streams which are coming up. You guys might have heard about SRE, the site reliability engineering, is a great area. There's a lot of work is happening in that area, and you might see a lot of requirement coming for the SRE engineers. It's a full stack developer, SRE engineers, DevOps. These are the areas where there will be a lot of requirements which will be coming from the IT industries. So while you focus on the technologies, these areas are also very, very important. And we are seeing that there are requirement coming where customer is asking that I need SRE professional, SRE, what we call SRE, senior SRE, principal SRE, and they will transform the way the current, IT industries are operating. The way Google has done that, the way Microsoft is doing, that is the way the entire IT industries are going to transform. So that is the DevOps, SRE, full stack. Those are the areas where a lot of opportunities are there.
Sure, sir. Your input is always valuable
right.
to us, and we will definitely look into it. Thank you.
Sure.
Right, sir.
Thank you.
And sir, you have covered the entire session on technology and roles that will help our students for go forward with the placement trends. Because of course we are understanding that this is a very challenging time for our students and for every technograd out there for we can say a couple of years. So it's better that they can train, deploy, and work for a particular technology which is in market demand. So it is very essential from our part also to align all the expertise views with them so that they have enough time to prepare for the same. Thank you so much, sir, to releasing out all the technical aspects and to brief out the roles and responsibilities for the coming generation. Thank you so much again for your precious time you have spared today
Sure.
for us. Thank you. Thank you all for
Thank you
joining.
very much. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you.